often hear people say that they want to use their interface, their MIDI interface with a computer, but sometimes they want to use it standalone. They just want to use it with a specific sequencer or device of their choosing as the master device. So today we're going to show you how to set that up with a mioX series interface. So let's jump right into it. So here we go. I got Auracle X open on the screen. Let me zoom right to that as full. Here we go. So we have Auracle X on the screen. We have mioXL 008. I'm actually just going to factory reset this right now so that we know that we have a fresh device. So what we're going to do today is we're going to set up the first preset on our mioXL as the DAW setup, or the device that's going to connect to the computer, the preset that's going to connect with the computer as the master. And then we're going to do a second preset, preset number 2, which is going to be your DAWless setup, where you have a specific sequencer that's going to be the main controlling device, probably sending clock, maybe taking in all the note data from all the other devices, that kind of thing. This is going to vary depending on your setup, but this should give you some idea of how you might want to set this up. So we have our mioXL 008 back again. So the MIDI routing for the DAW preset is incredibly basic. Honestly, the default routing on your mioXL or XM is going to have all the DIN ports and all the host ports automatically routed to and from the DAW. Now, if you have a mioXL, there are some extra ports that don't get routed in and out of the DAW, like DIN 9 to 12 and host 8 to 10. If you need more information on that specifically, then you might want to check out the link that's in the description. It's going to be a video that's going to show you how to rename and reroute your ports on your mioXL, specifically dealing with that situation. Other than that, let's go in and let's create our DAW setup. So preset 1 is going to be our DAW setup, and we're going to jump into the MIDI routing. Like I said, the default routing is pretty much perfect for this. So if we click on DIN 1, you can see our input of DIN 1 is going to the USB DAW, which is the USB or RTP. So even if you're setting up RTP, this also works. You can see the routing, the default routings are all set up already. No matter which input I click under the DIN MIDI or the USB host, they go to the USB DAW or RTP MIDI. So you can just leave this preset honestly as it is. So you can see they all go to the USB DAW, and then if we click on the USB DAW, you're going to see that it all goes back out to these devices, which is exactly what we want. So honestly, the default setup is perfect for what you want for a USB DAW setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the presets page here, and I'm going to go save as, and I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to select preset 1, and we're going to type in, you know what, I won't even leave preset 1 there. I'll just call it DAW setup. Perfect. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click the load preset here, and we're going to select preset 2 so that we can set up our MIDI routing for our DAWless setup. All right, so let's load preset 2. Do you want to load it? Yes, I absolutely do. All right, so let's jump over to doing preset 2, our DAWless setup. So let's go into the MIDI routing, and this is where we're going to do most of the work. So we can honestly leave the default routing. Since in a DAWless setup, you're not really connecting the USB to the computer or the Ethernet to a computer. You can just leave those routings here if you don't want to mess with them. Also, maybe you want to try and do both setups at the same time. You can do that, but you can just leave these here. There's no real big advantage to deselecting them, and it's just a lot of extra work. So let's pick DIN 1 as our main controller. So I'm going to call this main sequencer. And this could be, you know, BeatStep Pro or Octatrack or whatever main device controller that you want. And so we want all the DIN ports and all the host ports going to this main sequencer, and we want this main sequencer to send out to all the other devices. So we're going to select the main sequencer as the input, and we want it output to all the devices. So we want DIN 2 to 12 and host 1 to 10. So I'm going to go to the select all, and we're going to go DIN MIDI. I'm going to deselect main sequencer because I don't want it to send right back to itself. Because in this situation, the main sequencer is using both the in and outs, and we do not need any MIDI loops. So let's go to send all again, and we're going to do it with the USB host. So this is going to be your setup for the main sequencer. It's going to send to all the devices. Then what we need to do is go to all of the individual DIN ports and host ports and as inputs, and then we're just going to send them to the main sequencer. So DIN 2 goes to the main sequencer, DIN 3 main sequencer, DIN 4, and you can see just takes a second to click down through all these, and we're going to do the same for the host devices. Now, it isn't a requirement that each device goes to this main sequencer. You don't have to send every device to your main sequencer, but if this is your recommendation, if you want that main sequencer doing everything, you might want to do this. Also, if there's some data, specific data that you don't want going in or out of the main sequencer, you can also go to our filtering and remapping page and access that to modify the data that's going in and out. And that's all we had to do. So now we've done all of these. They're all going to the main sequencer, and the main sequencer is going out to all the devices. And it's as simple as that. Everything's set up for this setup. So we're going to go back and go to presets page, save as. We're going to select preset 2, and we're going to call this, we're not going to call it preset 2. I'm going to call it DAWless Setup. And I think that's about it. So now we got our DAW setup and our DAWless setup. And the way you want to switch through these presets, since you're not using a computer, the best way to do it is just to turn the knob on the front of the mioXL. And once you get to the preset that you want, click in on the knob, just one quick click, and it will load that preset. If you are on a mioXM, you just want to touch the appropriate LED that will correspond with memory 1, 2, 3, 4, which is preset 1, 2, 3, 4 in that sequence. And I think that's about all that we need to do with this. If you have any questions or any concerns, feel free to contact us at support@iConnectivity.com. Have a great day.